Best of r/Tales from Tech Support episode 44. Seeing/you/Jixxia's story centered around Mailmerge reminded me of this. Back in the days of Win 3.0, DOS 5.0, and lightning fast 4 ppm laser printers, I worked for a company that was really 3 discrete businesses owned by one guy. My title was Publication Department Manager, but I was also the de facto IT guy. I reported to the owner and managed a small team that slowly grew over time. One of those businesses sold a product internationally. The only advertisement they did was through letters they sent to companies that sold similar products. This company only sold to distributors, but helped them create advertisements to promote the product within their distribution chain. The business was profitable, but the owner didn't see the need to spend on advertisement as these letters did generate new sales. One day, the international sales manager brought me a disc with 10k guaranteed sales leads or something like that from a then recent trade show. The company had spent $sign on the thing and he wanted to get his money's worth. This wasn't the first guaranteed set of leads he had purchased. He had always ignored the data disc and had only utilized the paper printout that came with the discs. He knew what he was getting was half crap when he bought those lists. He really didn't have any way to prove it other than the wasted postage from returned mail sent to non-existent leads. Most times, by the time he had built a comprehensive list of all the duplicates and useless leads, the list seller's money-back guarantee window had long passed. He'd have one of the office workers use the printout to hand-type a form letter and a matching mailing label on a mechanical novelty known as a typewriter. Ask your grandmother, she'll know. Nobody was assigned the task. But anytime any one of the workers had nothing to do, they would generate these letters. He said in a good month, they could get about 100 of these letters done. Those 100 or so letters would generate maybe 5 or 10 inquiries and maybe 1 or 2 new sales. They would also generate several returned letters, essentially showing that some of the effort was wasted on bad leads. There was always a problem with duplicate leads, also, and any new list would have to be checked against a file of past leads, which took time. He wanted to know if I could improve the process. The disk contained a text file that I was able to import into a spreadsheet, maybe Multiplan, maybe something else, and sort by its various fields. This exposed all the duplicate entries, really padded entries by the disk issuer. I'd print out lists of the duplicates and condense the file down to unique entries. The manager was able to use my printouts as evidence that those 10k unique leads were really about 5k 6k real leads and the rest BS to obtain a substantial reimbursement of what he originally paid. The company didn't use MS anything at the time. I had WordPerfect and it had Mailmerge. I wrote a macro that created a form letter with all the unique parts filled in from each entry in the mailing list. I also created a matching mailing label for each letter using WordPerfect's label generating feature. I would break the list down into 100 or so leads at a time. I'd set up the one and only laser printer in the place, my office, to print the letters onto letterhead at the end of the day. When I came in the next morning, I'd check that all letters printed and run the 4 or 5 sheets of mailing labels through the printer. I'd hand the stack off to the international sales manager. He'd let me know when he needed another batch. This left the office workers with the task of matching the form letter to its corresponding mailing label, folding the letter, inserting it in the envelope, and applying postage. They went from getting maybe 100 letters out a month, to about the same in just a week. A few 10k guaranteed leads lists later, the international sales manager convinced the owner to invest in another computer and laser printer. He had me show one of the office workers how to import the files and prep them to be printed in WordPerfect. Every so often, I'd have to tweak the macro, but other than that, I was not involved. The international division of the company was making maybe $10k a month, the minimum amount of one product order, off these leads before I automated the process. Automating the creation of these letters increased the revenue of that business to between $100k $250k a month. Of course, I didn't see anything, $sign, for my efforts. The whole office would get a free dinner for us and our spouses at a nice steakhouse every time the international team met their sales goal. We ended up getting those free meals every month from that point on. TL. Dr. OP Priest of Wood-Burning Computer Gods. Og throws rocks. Lots of rocks miss target. Og sick of lousy rocks. Wants better rocks. OP invokes ancient god using arcane symbols. Gets Og better rocks. Better rocks hit targets better. Tribe benefits. Tribe enjoys many feasts. Edit. Thanks for the silver. Og likes shiny rocks. 2. Double edit. Thanks for the gold. 2. Og thinks gods be crazy, but what does Og know? Og just simple rock thrower. Thank you. Next. TL. Doctor when legacy meets dinosaurs. 20 plus years ago. $me. Obvious. $local admin. Has an issue but doesn't know yet how big. RINNNG. $local admin. Hi $me. We seem to have an issue with the $measure computer for $main product. $me. Okay. What seems to be the issue? $local admin. Black screen and beeps. $me. That sounds like a hardware issue. How many beeps does it give and is there any difference? /log beeps. $local admin. 1 long 3 short if I'm right. $me. Sounds like the video card died. I'll be packing up some gear and come over. 45 minutes later. $me. Is that the machine? Pointing at a nondescript yellowed beige pile of dust. $local admin. Yep, that is it. $me. Okay, let me check. After powering down and opening up the hood, I see several large cards, obviously measuring cards and the smallest ISA video card I have ever seen. No brand, no model number. Hang on, what is this? I unplug the connector in the back of the video card. Wait, just 9 pins? Okay, we'll have to replace not just the card but also the monitor. All I have with me are standard VGA cards and they have 15-pin connectors. I put in a new card connector monitor. Power on system. Beep 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 beep. Not good. I check the VGA card in another system that I was thoughtfully bringing with me. Beep it boots normally. $me. This is going to take longer than I thought. $local admin. It's okay. They have just started a new run and the initial testing is done. You have about 2 days. $me. Okay. Thank you. That will help. I start analyzing the cards. They have address jumpers to define what area of the memory they use for communication. Something about the ranges looks familiar. Oh noes. It makes sense now. The cards can only be set for 0s addresses, right in the middle of the VGA card's memory area. They will clash no matter what. $me. $local admin. When was this system built? $local admin. I can't quite remember. I know it has been rebuilt a few years back. The original system may have been here since the company started. That puts it roughly in the right era, namely first series IBM PCS. $me. Well, I just found out it is using a Hercules graphics card because of the measuring cards. I don't know if we have those HGC cards in stock. $local admin. Can't you just call the office? $me. Trust me if I say there's nobody there that could tell the difference between VGA and Hercules at the moment. All the other guys are out in the field and my bosses, well, $local admin. I see. Off you go then. Hopefully see you later. I return to base and go into the storage room. And I think, because about 2 years before I have been going over each and every piece of $sign and old hardware that the company has too. Inventory the thing, see if it still works without generating sparks, smoke or parts flying off of it. I get my list. We should have 1 compatible monitor and even 2 HGC adapters. I dive deep into the boxes and dig one up that says dinosaurs, box number 2. And there they are, nicely in anti-static sleeves and labeled Hercules. I return to the customer, put one in and power on the machine. Bip and we have a picture. Thank you. Next. I didn't know where else to put this, but I feel like I reached a major milestone in my career as an IT manager, and I just wanted to share it because it might be the thing I'm most proud of. I've been a cert manager now for about 3-4 years. It was an unexpected promotion when it happened and I definitely didn't feel like I was ready. I wanted to channel the better managers I've had in my career and focus on developing my team. I wanted to invest in them the way my mentors had invested in me. I hired a junior analyst a couple years back. He was green, inexperienced and quite frankly, a total pain in my ass. I had to teach him the basics of everything. I had to hold his hand, teach him not only how to be an analyst, but how to be a professional. I'm not going to pretend. There were times I hated him, and times I wanted to fire him, but slowly, I noticed him starting to turn the corner, and before I knew it, he was one of my better guys. I was proud, watched as he blossomed into not just a solid analyst, but a great one. He started training your peers and building them up. It was so cool to watch. I left that company last May. It was a hard decision to make, but it was the right one for me. He ended up following me to take a position I had open on my new team. I was flattered that he'd be willing to follow me. We took on some major projects with the new company, and honestly, without him, I may have failed. He was invaluable to me, put in the work and grinded with me until we were both past our breaking points. I realized he wasn't just one of my better guys, he was my best guy I've ever had. We had a lead spot come open on another team within my company for a different project. I told him to apply and that I thought he would do well. He was timid about it and didn't think he was ready but applied anyway. He told me that his interview went okay, but not great and that he didn't think they liked him. I just got a call from my boss saying that they absolutely loved him and are formally offering him the lead position this afternoon. I'm so fucking proud of him. Losing him is going to suck, but I know he's ready, and I've never been so excited. It's taking everything in me to keep it in today and not ruin the surprise and excitement of him finding out this afternoon. I'm so proud of him. I'm so happy for him. He's grown so much the past several years, and he so deserves this. So, if you're reading this, man, congrats. I'm proud of you. Drinks on me tonight. Thank you. Next. So I'm a project analyst at my company. No, I don't know what that means either. Part of my job is to write up simple to use programs for our customer support teams to help automate some of their more time consuming tasks. One of the teams I've been working with recently had stood out as particularly inept. Them. Hey OP, that program you built is pretty great, but I've run into a problem when double checking the files it created. Me. Oh well, that's to be expected. Honestly, I'm surprised it's made it this long without issue. So, what's the problem? Them. Well, when I ran the last bit of data through, two groups of items were listed on the same file when they should have been broken out. Me. Yup, I see the issue. Okay, let me make a few changes. Could you send me some test data so I can make sure I fix the problem? Them. Sure, I'll email it over. So I make a few changes. They email the file and I test it a few times making sure the program is stable. Me. Okay, I've made a few updates and it seems to be working. What items were getting grouped together that were causing the issues? Them. Oh, I have no idea. I sent you an entirely different set of data. Me. Okay, well I'm sure it's fine. Thank you. Next. The cast. $agency, a legal office that provides legal services to the state government. $me, office administrator that provides a large amount of on-site support for basic fixes. $lawyer, a low-level lawyer in the office. $assistant, a random legal secretary. $VoIP, a piece of VoIP software we use. $other, a random person at another agency. Late Friday afternoon I receive an email from $lawyer. My calls keep dropping out. I decided to put this to the test, and gave them a call. The call works fine, so I tell them I'll have a look on Monday. Come Monday, I head down and have a look at the phone. All of the calls $lawyer had trouble with were with $other. I am unable to recreate the issue, and I even call $other to check if it is on her end. I tell $lawyer to call me if they have another issue. While I'm with $lawyer I run into $assistant. She tells me her phone is making random calls, so I go have a look. At her desk, we were unable to recreate the issue. Interestingly, none of the calls are in her missed calls list. At this point I ask them, who was it actually calling? Oh, it was calling $other. At this point I realize the issues are linked. I walk over to $lawyer, and before I'm in the door they tell me, I had the issue again. This time it was with someone else. I ran over to $assistant and asked them if their device made another random call. Yeah, it has. How did you know? Was it the person $lawyer had just called? Yeah, it was. $assistant's VoIP software was managing $lawyer's phone. From what I can gather, a few years prior, $assistant's phone number belonged to one of the team leaders. The team leader's phone had been configured like a reception, whereby when logged out, the number is still available on the screen. When the team leader left, the phone was reallocated as a spare, ending up in an empty office. Their phone number was reallocated to $assistant. In the modern day, $lawyer came back from an outplacement and took the empty office. This brought this phone back into use for the first time in recent memory, despite not being visible. Due to $lawyer being logged into the phone when logged out still displayed $assistant's name, as the number had become hers. As such, the phone was managed by her VoIP account, and her client was getting the pop-ups. Due to the age of $lawyer's phone, it's an older model in the same series as the ones used in-house. MD, we decided to just replace her phone. Thank you. Next. This was in 2012. I had started working for this big engine company working for an American tech giant as tech support. So indirectly I was tech support call center guy for this American company's newly launched enterprise cloud solution. I was handling the email server/service support. At this time the American company was a veteran in on-site email server solutions but fairly new in this cloud service. In coming years they have become pretty successful in this venture nonetheless. Essentially this cloud service was based on their own on-site email server solution but just upscaled to handle cloud level loads. They were also in process of building several server farms to handle expected loads, but there was a bit of an issue. Big one actually. This email server solution had multiple major versions. Initially they started off with say 2003 version as it was most stable. Then they started adding new servers with 2007 versions and then 2011 versions. But only thing was they never informed us when they did that. Essentially their one server site was running 2003, other was running 2007 and next was running 2011. They all ran slightly different revision of same console commands. When I began we were trained in handling servers based off 2003 version. Whenever there was an issue that was above our tech know-how, we were told to document it carefully with history of all steps taken to resolve till then and then escalate it. The core escalation team will take care of it. Well, that was the gist of it. We were made aware of known bugs and issues and steps to solve them via internal mailers. Couple of the known workarounds in the company's bug fix database are credited to me. Then the upgrade chaos hit, and we were receiving a flood of calls every day. And we were solving issues all time. I used to work 4 hours extra many times just to finish my calls, and miss my drop back to my place. I worked night shifts BTW. One day we received this mail stating that escalation cannot be done unless it was documented in the known bugs but which were beyond our authorization. We did not have access to that part of system. Also we cannot directly communicate with the escalation team, only file request for escalations via clicking request escalation button in our program. Then this new bug hit. It affected the limited number of clients so badly that their entire systems were locked up. I had one of these cases and the client was furious. And apparently this bug was not reported yet and was not classified as a critical issue, hence no escalation. And due to the upgrade chaos none of my commands were working. I requested an immediate escalation. I got a reply to take it to my division manager first. Not my team lead, not my manager but to one person who is overlooking entirety of this company's works. The escalation queue there are a month long as he has to go through every query personally while managing the entire division. While the client was completely stuck with every user locked out of the system and no emails going through. And I was 2 months in my job. It took 2 whole weeks for the company to acknowledge the issue and issue a mailer that the cases with this particular issue were to be escalated and escalation will not be needing an approval process. The client took his business somewhere else, and I lost a month worth of incentive. These type of jobs offer very low salary and work on survey-based incentive. If your caller files good survey you get hefty incentives based on stars you get. 6/10 you get incentive. 1/5 your performance gets scrutinized. A single 1/5 review would have you lose that month's incentive. I lost around $500 worth incentives because the company refused to accept my case for an escalation and were operating a messy server upgrade program without informing their tech support. TL. Doctor. Big cloud service company upgraded their half of their servers, causing host of issues while never telling the tech support. Causing me to have negative reviews on my client survey, losing me a lot of money in incentives. Yes, my client satisfaction rating was average 8. 5 stars for that month. Except for that one case. Thank you. Next. Worked for a large, fruit-based name tech company for some time. Long story short, we had a model of laptop that had began overheating, melting and even exploding in extreme cases. As people who worked in this particular sector of call center work would know, when an issue of safety comes up, the employees taking calls are given special instructions on how to quickly make sure CX is okay, then immediately escalate the call to tier 2. Get a call one day from a woman who says her computer is overheating. I immediately ask if she's okay and safe, and she assures me she's fine, and there is no present danger. So I proceed to tell her I'll have to escalate the call. I'll just need a little info from the computer. I get the info, put her on hold, and call our tier 2. After getting the agent's name, I patch the call together and begin to introduce the agents to CX. I'm immediately interrupted by the customer yelling "Hold on," followed by some rustling. The tier 2 agent pauses for a moment before saying "Mom, are you okay?" More rustling and then a whooshing sound in the background. Our headsets are pretty crappy, so it was hard to tell what was happening exactly. Few moments later the woman comes back and says sorry, had to get the fire extinguisher. Agent immediately asks if we need to call the authorities. Woman proceeds to tell us no, I'm fine. The table was just on fire. Agent asks what caused it. CX replies a computer. It was smoking when I called in, that's why I called. Wanted to see if you could fix it over the phone. At this point the tier 2 kicked me from the call to take care of the customer. TL. Doctor customer calls with computer overheating issue. Says she's fine. Escalate call. Return to patch together. Find out computer was on fire the whole time.